I like how clean your room is. It's not even like, I mean like,
His name is Charlie. He's 8 months old, and I got him like 2 months ago from the Winchester Animal Shelter. Process to get an emotional support animal it wasn't that difficult. I had a counselor in Martinsburg write me like a recommendation letter, I guess, saying that, you know, I had what it takes to get an emotional support animal, I guess. And after I got that, I just sent it over to Disability Support Services, and I went to an animal shelter and I picked it up, or him up, I guess, and I just brought him home after that, and all the paperwork was done, so it was really simple actually. And I do feel like it's worth the expenses. He was pretty expensive. Like in total, it was probably about $400, like to get everything. And then you have like the monthly expenses of food and litter and all that. So it is kind of expensive, but I do think it's worth it because like it's nice to have something there, like like a companion. A unique story. When I put his collar on, it has a jingle bell on it, and he hates the way that it sounds like when it's behind his neck. If it's in front of him, he's fine, but if it's behind him, he hates it, and so he'll like twist his back around and jump up in the air to try and catch it, and it's just really funny. So yeah, that's about it.
You might want to tell just about a fond memory.
Okay, so I'm going to go with the day that I actually got Tinker. I literally ran all over Jefferson County, Berkeley County looking for a dog, and I was determined to go home with a dog that day. And none of the shelters had the dog that I wanted. It was like gone like that morning, and I was like, so Washington County Humane Society was like the last resort, and I was like, I'm going home with a dog. Yeah. So lucky enough for me, they were doing same day adoptions, so if I found something I liked, I could take them home that day. And the initial dog that I was looking at on their website, someone was already taking that dog out. So I just walked through the kennel, and he was the first dog I seen, jumping up and like super excited. So I was like, I want this dog. Like, I need this dog. So I ran out to the counter and was like, yeah, I need to take Tinker out. Like, I want him. So they was like, okay, so do you want to take him outside? And I was like, yeah, I want to take him outside, but I already know I want to take him home. And the owners that had him before me had dropped him off 3 hours prior to me arriving there. Wow. So I got pretty lucky. And I was kind of bummed out because that was his second time being dropped off to that shelter. And the previous family, like on the paperwork, made it seem like he was like kind of like a bad dog. But he's not. He came housebroken, neutered. He knows some commands. He loves to play. He really enjoys squeaky toys. So that's Tinker. Always with his nose to the ground, as you can see.
What's the process for having pets on campus?
Okay, so for me it's a little different because I'm a hall director. I'm actually allowed to have at least like one pet. So what that process looks like for me is I have to get it cleared by the director of residence life, and I have to make sure that all the paperwork is current. He's current on all his shots and things of that nature. So it's kind of similar to what they do in DSS, but it's a little different. So I know in DSS you have to get the proper documentation. It has to be approved. You have to have the same type of paperwork. It has to be current on all shots. And your roommate has to be like okay with the pet living in the space. I'm sure there are some other things that I just don't remember.
Okay, thank you. When did you get him and why?
I got him in August of 2016, like the first weekend of August. And I got him more so for like an emotional support animal for my wife. Okay. And I've always wanted a dog of my own. So, yeah, that's why I got him.
Okay. What's your pet's name?
All right, my dog's name is Tinker.
Tinker.
Okay, hi, I'm Gabrielle Hess. I'm a resident assistant here in Thatcher Hall, and I have a little Syrian hamster, and her name is Cammie. Here's the information for the res hall crews that come in to work on any technical issues in the room, so they know that I have her in here. So that way they're not like, oh crap, there's an animal in the room and she might not have a registration for it. So these are always required from all the students to have, so that everybody's aware that there is an animal in the room. You go to, if you want to have an emotional support animal, you go to DSS, Disability Support Services, in Gardner Hall. And I know, talking with Ronnie about this, this process from previous years. This is Cammie, this is said hamster. Let me open it so you can kind of get a view, so she can say hi to the camera. Don't you crawl out of there. I'm gonna let her roll around while we finish the rest of the interview. So you have to go over to Disability Support Services in Gardner Hall. And how I got her was, I deal with severe depression, and I had a referral from my doctor to have an emotional support animal because I'm living alone as an RA, and because it would help me out since I don't have a roommate to have an animal to come home to and take care of. So I had that, and then I know for larger animals like a dog or a cat, you need to have vaccination records so that the animal's health is up to date. And they do want to know your daily schedule. So if you have an animal like a dog or a cat, where, especially a dog, you need to take it out, they need to make sure that you will have enough time to dedicate to the animal, so the animal's happiness is guaranteed as well. So after you have all that done, all the paperwork and everything put through, everything, the resident's life is known that you will have that animal, and they get you one of the forms that I mentioned earlier, and then you're good to have your animal in the building. She's crawling in my hand here in a bit, managed to, when I was trying to work out how, I've never owned a hamster before, when I was trying to work out how the cage was supposed to be, managed to crawl out of her cage and get through the barricade I had on the door to get out into the building. This was while I was asleep, so I had no awareness that she had gotten out. And I thought, okay, she's just a little hamster, she's probably still on the first or on the second floor. Was not. So I texted the HD and I was like, hey, my hamster just got out. We need to see how we can find her and let people know. So I sent an email out to the girls and all the other RAs so they could keep an eye out. And we had Tinker, LaShawn's little dog, try to sniff her out. Well, he wasn't able to do so. So my brother, who I let know Cammie had gotten out, one of the kids in his hallway on the first floor said that he had saw, like, it looked like a mouse initially like going around his room, and was like, realized it was a hamster trapped it in a box, and was like, hey, and went up to Mac and was like, hey, there's a hamster in my room. And my brother goes, is it orange? Like, Cammie is orange, and she's continuously trying to crawl out of my hands. He's like, yeah, it's orange. And he's like, that's my sister's hamster. So while it's still in like a little shoebox, Zach brings it up here, and this is like over a period of hours, so I had like gone into freak out panic mode, thinking, oh my God, she could have chewed through somebody's stuff, what was going on, like just worried that she could have possibly gotten hurt too. So we got her back in her cage, and I have her cage now to where she can't get out, even though now she's like apparently in a treadmill. So that's one of the funny stories I have with her. And I let her out into her ball often so she can kind of get around and see the world and not feel the need to go on another adventure.
This is Bella, and I got her Sunday from my friend in high school. She's going to graduate this year, and she's moving, and I've been wanting a dog for weeks, but she was selling her, and so I got her because I've met her before. And she loves to ride in my boyfriend's truck. I don't know why, but she loves it. And she's about 4 or 5 months old. My first time walking her across campus from H-Lab, she just would not stay with me. She was running all over the place, all over to everyone. And she likes to eat flowers and leaves and twigs. Anything that is nature, she will eat it. Or try to carry it around, or give it to me or something. I feel like getting an animal isn't too difficult here on campus. It's just the process of doing it is a little longer than I thought it would be. I thought it would be just you say why you need it, you tell them, you give them your doctor's note, and then they're like, okay, go ahead. I didn't know you had to have her vet record and you had to fill out this whole entire paper and all that. So it took me about 2 days to actually do that instead of a few minutes like I thought it would. But she's already housebroken and she listens, so it's not very hard with her. She just likes to hide, and then I can't find her because she's so little. And she tries to jump off my bed even though it's very, very high and I'm afraid she's gonna hurt herself. But otherwise she's good. She sleeps in bed with me, and if she wants to go to the bathroom she'll just pull my hair. So she's a good little puppy.